In this episode of Testimony and Musician Story presented by Soundseekers, music producer and Bigger Dreams Club creator Jude shares his Christian testimony. Jude talks about growing up as a pastor's kid, having a hit single as a teenager, creative marketing, and the importance of genuine relationships in the music industry. He talks about his relationships with Ruslan, Stephen Malcolm, and Aaron Cole, among many others. Additionally, Jude shares the song stories of Brighter, Priceless, Stone Cold, and Getting Up in the 4-song breakdown. I am Gilika Brown, and this is Soundseekers Presents Testimony, a Musician Story. Your space, wherever you're at, it looks super dope. Looks like a...
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my studio.
It's like, is it narrow? Looks like you're on like a bus or an RV or something.
Oh, yeah. No, so up here is actually my bed.
Oh,
My
okay.
room, I have a tall room, and then so we built this little loft-ish thing in my room, because just to have more space, and then so I sleep up here, and then underneath is we built it originally in my studio's up there, and my bed was down here, but I just needed more space, so I just was like, I only go up there to sleep. So, but yeah, it's pretty fun. And then so I kind of got all my lights hung up in here and got my lighting looking right. So it's nice for when I do lives and just have any kind of content shooting. I just one of my biggest compliments that I get is that my room is looking A1. So I appreciate it. There's a lot of work that went into it, but yeah.
Well, it paid off.
Oh, for sure.
Cool. So let's try to go back, way back,
okay.
To maybe the first song or music video or performance. What is your first music memory?
Man, okay, so I feel like I started when I was super, super young. I mean, I say super, super young. I don't know. I mean, that was 2.5 years ago. I was 15. And I think my biggest music memory was probably, I mean, I made songs with friends, but we don't really need to talk about that. I mean, it was kind of garage band phases and stuff. But my first biggest one I remember is I went out to lunch with some of my friends, and it's you know what, I'm gonna do it. They were hyping me up, and I had made this song. One of my friends yo, I need to send this to Stephen Malcolm and Aaron Cole, who were people that at the time I'd listened to for a while. I had known Stephen pretty well. We had hung out a couple of times, and he's kind of a big brother to me now. But so I had hung out with him, so I kind of had the connection there. And then Aaron Cole was a friend of a friend, so I reached out to him. I was yo, I want one of my first songs to have these two big people on it. In my opinion, that way I could get more reach with the song. And then so it was my song Brighter. And so I literally made that when I was 15. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
And I released it as a single when I was 15 on one of my first, and then it later was on an EP that I took down just because it wasn't to the level of where I want my music to be.
Yeah.
And then so now it's on my album. This is actually the jacket, Nightmares to Daydreams. So
that is so dope. Yeah. Wait, okay. So you said I want to have these two artists on my song. Yeah. And it happened.
Yeah, I reached out to, it's kind of wild. I reached out, and literally, the reason I mentioned that lunch is because literally within 10 minutes, they both responded, and yeah, let's do it. I'm down. I liked the song, and I was like, what the heck? And then so, that was kind of the, moments of, me sitting in, some weird restaurant in, LA, which I'm from Michigan, but I'm out in LA a lot. I have friends there. And so, me sitting in this restaurant, yo, I might start trying to do this music thing. I don't know. It was one of those epiphany moments. Yo, I wonder if music might be my thing.
Yeah.
And so, and I released it, and it's done really, really well. It's got over 250,000 streams on Spotify now, and I think around 300,000 overall. So it's done really well. And then later, and I got to perform it with Steven later that year. Excuse me. And I got to, in front of I think 600 or 700 people.
Mm-hmm.
And and we shot the music video the same day. So that was definitely that was like my first like step little drop. I'm still trying to beat like I'm still trying to beat a song. Like I don't think I've had a couple big songs. Obviously it's had more time to grow, but I'm still trying to, outdo my 15-year-old self.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's kind
you
of
have plenty
interesting.
of time. Plenty of
Oh
time
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
outdo
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
That's amazing though. That is a fire story. That's like
Oh, thank you.
that
Yeah,
like
it's
super put a smile
definitely
on my face.
it's definitely an interesting one on how I kind of got started, but
Okay.
yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure. It was fun making it. It's weird. That's kind of like how a lot of people have like been introduced to me, and it's definitely interesting like performing it with like people and like them like knowing the words. Like that's still like for me. There's okay. I've like experienced lots of times like I've signed autographs. I've like taken pictures with people, but I'm like, yo, I wonder if they know that I still have like chores at home. Like I like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not famous. I'm not
Yeah.
like I know I'm not famous, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I still have to take out the trash every Wednesday night. Like, you know what I mean? Like and so it's like it's just interesting to see like how like other people view me versus how I view myself versus how my family views me versus how my friends view me. My friends like hate it. Like they're like so supportive, like, yo, we support you, whatever. But like they're like, we will never let you like not be humble because you know what I mean? Like they will just
Yeah.
they came out to my shows and and I had like some fans come up to me afterwards and they were like and then they mocked me pretending to be fans, you know how like these friends go. And
Yeah.
I was like, I appreciate it though. Like, I don't ever
Keep
want to
you
be that
humble.
guy. Oh yeah, I
Yes.
don't ever want to be that guy that acts like he's bigger than he is, or acts like I have a whole team. Like I'm an 18-year-old in his bedroom. Like you know what I mean. Like, and I know that. So,
That's
but I'm gonna
dope.
keep going. I want to be that big guy one day. So that's why I'm gonna keep hustling.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
have a whole like bright future ahead of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Bright,
you.
no pun intended.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll come back to the music. Let's talk
Okay.
about early childhood. So, well, right now you said you're 18.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in a two-parent household?
Yes.
And was it a Christian household?
It was so my grandpa is actually a minister, a traveling minister
Hmm.
and a pastor.
Okay.
So I grew up probably going to church anywhere from 250 to 300 times a year. So I was
Yeah.
like I literally was in church a lot growing up.
Okay. Yeah.
And so and my dad is now a traveling minister as well.
Okay.
So like um I don't really talk a whole lot about it because and I don't even have my last name like on my artist like page like just because like I don't ever want to like screw up or make a mistake that will
Oh.
ever like lead back to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Not saying that I'm like expecting to, but just saying like I don't want to be that kid, you know what I mean? And so I want to be respectful of them and also it's like two different markets, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, so it's definitely been interesting growing up that. But I mean, I love it. I love church. I love I love seeing that world. It's definitely a very interesting being a pastor's kid and wanting to do
Yeah.
music. And pastor kid is a really interesting life. People kind of think they know who you are, and people think that they also think that they have a room to speak into your life lots
Yeah.
of times, and when they don't, and so it's definitely interesting. It's a very narrow path, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, when you were talking about not associating your family last name to your
yeah,
music, it just reminded me of the Jonas Brothers.
yeah,
I don't know if you know, but they were pastors' kids.
yeah,
And when they became famous, like their dad literally had to leave the church
yeah.
because he was just like
That's funny. We were
ridiculed.
just talking about that. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
my friends lives in the same apartment building, or used to live in the same like apartment complex as the Jonas Brothers used to. And then
Mm,
so we were literally just talking about how all that, and I was like, man, I'm thankful that like I could keep it separate and stuff. So, yeah, my grandpa actually is like has like I'm trying to say, oh, like Katy Perry's parents go to like a lot of my grandpa's like services and stuff, and so it's very interesting to see like
okay.
so that is then separate and they're still
Yeah.
ministers, and so it's like but it's definitely interesting to see like I don't know, it kind of makes me wonder like will I be like that guy one day where it's like will my grandpa like not like or like will my dad or my grandpa be like known as like my family or what, you know what I mean? Because my whole life I've been known. My
That's
grandpa's
Jude's
pretty
grandpa.
popular. Yes, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then so but like my whole life I've been known as oh, I'm the pastor, you know what I mean? I'm the pastor's kid. Like, will one day that be like, will I be Jude's
Yeah.
grandpa? So it'll be definitely interesting.
That will be interesting.
Yeah.
And then growing up as a pastor's kid and the challenges that has in people speaking into your life, what actually happened to where you really felt God speaking into your life and made you give your life to Christ?
I just feel like, ooh, you hear that voice track? That's crazy. I feel like, I just at a very, very young age just was like accepted it and knew it was right. I think I was 6 or 7, and I've never really. I mean, obviously, everyone has their struggles and their doubts and their questions, but I've been blessed with really like never having a moment where it's like, yo, I don't think God's real. I don't think God's there. Like, I just have too much proof in front of my eyes, like at all times, and so um, I've really just kind of always been around that, and so I've never really struggled with what decisions to make in that aspect. Like I've always been um, very solid in that, I think.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. And okay, so are you in high school or college now? Forgot to put my phone on silent. And then
no,
do
you're
you hear like clicking, like going in and out? Like how's your connection on your end?
No, I'm pretty solid, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm sorry, are you in high school or college?
So I graduated high school at 17 and I started college at 17 and I just finished my first year of college. So I'm deciding if college is the move or not still. I went to a community college here. I live in the middle of nowhere, Michigan.
Okay.
And it was definitely a growing year. We can say that because I wanted to do music and really like I'm not going to school for music. I was just going to school to have uh, a degree because that's the smart thing to do. Which like is it? I don't know, but I don't know.
I mean, the conversation I think has to develop with time. There definitely was a time where college was necessary for like the majority. But I think over the last decade and maybe a little bit more, it's been proven that there are plenty of people who can be successful without college. So, I mean, it really, because it's not made for everyone. Some people are just entrepreneurs. They know what they want and they can study other ways. Like, you don't have to go to a university to study. They can do life study. They can do, online courses. You can do what you need to do to figure it out. But me personally, like I went to college but I studied performance theater, which when I was studying it, this like old man told me like, oh, you must not want a job. I was like, thanks, old man. Which there was some truth to that. I mean, when you study anything in the arts, it's kind of like hard to get a job after that. But for me, it really was about, it's really about the experience because I left home. I was from California, went to a historically Black college in Houston. So it was the college experience that I always wanted, that I always saw on TV. It built me up, gave me character. So it really just depends. So, I mean, you'll figure it out. Obviously, you don't need to go to college for music specifically, but maybe there's something within the music as far as like, I don't know, marketing or business or something. But You'll figure
Yeah,
it
that's
out.
definitely, I'm trying to figure it out. Right now I'm going for my associates in arts, but
Okay.
basically I've done, which is like one of like the easier like associate degrees to get, just because it's not as like taxing. But like literally like this whole next year I have like entrepreneurship, business, marketing classes. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, and like over quarantine, I have like, bro, okay, that's another thing too. I might get a little off topic, but quarantine has probably been one of the best things to ever happen to me. And
Okay.
the fact of I have never been more focused and never gotten so much done and never been more genuine to myself when I'm creating.
Mm.
And I've literally just took it upon myself and dove in. And like literally during quarantine, I was doing 10 to 14-hour days every single day. I'm in my room making music. I would sometimes leave to eat or sometimes just go downstairs, get food, bring it back upstairs
Yeah.
and keep working. I took it upon myself to literally just like, I had so much on the to-do list that I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make content. I'm going to figure out who I want to be and lay the
Mm-hmm.
base down. And so I literally got so much done. It was just perfect.
That's
And
awesome.
so I don't even know. What were we talking about before? I know I just
We were
can't
talking about
remember now.
school. We're talking about school, but this ties
School.
in because
Yeah.
when you took this quarantine and you like dove super
Yeah.
deep. Now, did you set daily goals for yourself?
Oh, yeah. Okay, look. I'll show you real quick. So I have this whiteboard here. And I have another giant whiteboard. It's down below my desk, and then I don't know if you can see this. I have this giant
Oh
whiteboard
yeah.
here. Has my
Dang.
schedule, and this all right here used to be full of things to do,
Yeah.
and now I only have a couple things to do. So this is my daily one,
Okay.
and then down there is like my release schedule of songs that I'm going to be releasing. Because I probably have about 100 to 150 unreleased songs in my
Wow.
folders, just because like I work a lot. And then I have my like monthly schedule, and so I can be very forgetful sometimes, and so I pick up on myself for like every time I have an idea, every time I remember something, every time I need to actually do something, I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
finish it today, and it's just about that actually like going out and doing it. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday because I'm trying to dive into videography now. I've took
Okay.
like all of the all of the pictures you see on my Instagram feed nowadays. Like I used to like go out and like meet up with my photographer friends, but now it's literally like my own equipment. Like I'm literally like telling my brother, like, all right, stand right here, don't move, and I'm gonna go get in position and you're gonna take the
Yeah.
photo. Like, and so I'm then diving into photography and editing. And then I want to get to a point where I can do it for videography because I feel like the more skills I can learn, first off, I'm less dependent on other people, but
Mm-hmm.
also it can be a different income later on.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so something I've always wanted to do for like a full-time job, it just sounds incredible to me, is literally be a one-stop shop for people. And so, like, okay, let's say, all right, I don't know, Drake. Drake hits me up. It's like, yo, I want you to do my album. I'm like, all right, cool. That means I'm gonna produce every song. I'm gonna co-write every song. I'm gonna shoot the videos. I'm gonna shoot the photos and get the
Yeah.
content for social media. I'm gonna do all the behind the scenes videos. Like, I want to literally do. I'm gonna make the artwork. Like, I want to do literally everything, the mixing and the mastering. Like everything you can think of that goes into an album. I want to know how to do it, literally everything. So then I can be like, all right, cool, your album, all right, cool. It's gonna be $700,000, but I'm gonna do everything for you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just like that's something.
That's right
It's a
on.
lot of skills to learn though.
It
But I
is. It
definitely
is.
think that um, learning to do it like for myself first, which is what I've been doing a lot more recently. I definitely think I have the potential to be there. I definitely just need a couple more years to get to what I want to be, the level where I'm at. But honestly, like I've only been at it for a little over 2.5 years now.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Um,
18. You have so much
yeah.
time. And again,
Oh
that's
yeah.
stuff you can either go to school to learn or you can just take courses.
Yeah.
Like you have time. Like obviously you're learning. I think
Oh
the
yeah.
the
Every
original
day.
like
Yeah.
point of this conversation is that you need to be learning to advance yourself, and it doesn't have to
Oh
happen
yeah.
in a university. You're doing it right now from your bedroom.
Yeah. I definitely have learned that like I feel like people overthink and they're scared to take steps because they don't know they're gonna fall. But I'm at the point where it's like I'm gonna take steps, and if I fall, that's gonna mean I'm gonna learn how to make the next step. You know what I mean? And then so it's like, yeah, I might miss some. I might miss some shots, but like I'm eventually gonna start making them because
Mm-hmm.
I know what made me miss the shots before. You know what I mean? So that's even with like relationships, like in the music industry. That's what songs work for me. What songs did people not like? How should I market my music? What should I, what fans should I be targeting?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of artwork catches people's eyes? Like just all kinds of different things. So yeah.
And I also read that you are, I don't know if you're a subscriber, but you follow Ruslan, and you did you take like advice as far as like the daily setting goals of yourself? Like, did
Yeah,
that come from?
Ruslan's been awesome. I don't think the daily thing came from him, even though he does, preach it religiously. I definitely agree with it, and I definitely am a strong believer in it. Ruslan's been dope, just to have kind of like a big homie kind of like feel where it's like I'm a patron on his Patreon, and for me it's like uh you could almost argue to say like someone of my size, not I don't know saying that I'm big, but like someone of my size would almost, I feel like a lot of times like the achievements that I've reached, a lot of people like me would never really want to be kind of like a fan. Like they would think
Yeah.
that being on his page would be like a fan move or whatever. But for me, it's like I don't ever want to be too out, like my head be too big to realize that I can still learn. And I know how smart Ruslan is. And so it's like I always want to get feedback on him. And I've learned so much when it comes. It's funny, like I feel like every like new music or fan love Friday when he does where his music reviews, I send him my music and he reviews it. He's like, you know what, I love it. I'm gonna put this on the playlist. I'm like, bet. And then we always end up talking like, all right, now how are you marketing it? How are you branding it? How are you? And it's never, his music reviews are never, for me at least, I've never really experienced like maybe one or two times has he ever like maybe change the mix or rewrite this. But it's never about the music. It's always about how are you distributing the music? How are
Yeah.
you getting basically, so like that has been extremely helpful in that aspect for sure. Yeah.
See? Always learning. And again, that's not a university.
Always learning. Yes.
Awesome.
Always learning. Yeah.
And how does God's presence look in your life personally, like outside of the music?
How is God's present? I think I'm definitely someone who's experienced a lot of favor, and I know that I've had a lot of favor in my life. I think I have a high calling in the aspect of I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I definitely think that something I'm meant to be somebody, and I think everyone's meant to be somebody. Obviously, I'm not saying that,
You are
but
somebody, Jude.
yeah, yeah, and I'm meant to be like somebody that it's like a leader of sorts, and so I can definitely the more I lean on God, the more he kind of shows himself in my life, and so the more I trust him, and the more I just blindly go with what things I feel peace about. I might not feel like like emotionally peace about, but I definitely feel spiritually like peace about some of the things. I'm like, I don't know if like this is the move, and I just feel like what, maybe I should do this. And there's definitely been times where it's paid off in the long run. So, yeah, I think not even just music wise, like God. I think something. This is what my album Nightmares to Daydreams was about. Was kind of my realization of, whoa, like God's always there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something. So my grandpa was preaching this message is kind of what gave me the inspiration or whatever. He was saying, he's like, do you think when you're committing adultery,
Mm-hmm.
you think God's not there? Like he's like my you know what I mean? Like, do you think
Yeah.
God leaves you? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
God's
you
like, I'm
think
just gonna
of
go stand in this corner. You
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead
yeah.
and do your thing.
I'm gonna be in the closet. You know what I mean? He's like, no, like he like put it straight. He's like, Jesus in the sheets. You know what I mean? Like you need to be careful. And so that was kind of like, whoa, like even when I like screw up, even when I have these moments where it's like, I know I should be doing better. God's still there and God still loves me so much. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then so that's kind of the nightmares to daydreams is like the turning of like, whoa. So if you listen to the album, it starts with the song Nightmares to Daydreams about like I have all these issues, I have all these problems, yet like God's still there and loves me. And so the whole album is like a story of a turning of mindset almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the first couple songs are like the mindset I used to have. And I made those songs like in that mindset. And then it kind of turned and like the song Don't Deserve I did with my homie Preston Holland is kind of like it's a whole song that we wrote. Well, he wrote it actually. I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is perfect. And I was like, whoa, like it's kind of like the turning point of like we don't deserve God's love. It's so overwhelming and overpowering, and so it's just like it's incredible. So yeah, basically long answer to a short question, but yeah,
that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so talking about music, well, you brought up the album, The Nightmares to Daydreams, and that was your debut, right?
My debut album, yes.
Okay. So you had The Brighter was like your first hit, right? And then Nightmares to Daydreams followed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So I released 8 out of the 12 songs on the album. I talked to some singles before I put the album out, just because I've learned that singles are a way to keep people's attention. And so then when I released the album, it was funny, like when I released the album, people were like, yo, I love your new song Brighter. Like, yo, I love your new song Breaks My Soul. I was like, I released those like, a year ago, like 8 months ago. And so like there's definitely like a marketing strategy in that aspect of like I learned that re-releasing the like songs on the album like will catch people's attention. And so it's probably been the number one like smartest thing I've done as an artist, producer artist, is releasing songs in that way, just from a marketing standpoint. But yeah, so it went Brighter, Breaks My Soul, like I believe Alabaster Box, Priceless. Those were my first little bit. So it's yeah.
And you got your first contract at 12?
My first contract.
Music recording contract? Or no, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant to say.
Oh no, yeah.
With the Brighter song, that hit the Spotify New Music Friday list. And is that what made it kind of
break? No. So yeah,
or die down.
It was my song. It was so I believe I made that song when I was 16.
Okay.
Die Down. Me and Caleb Cruz wrote this song called Die Down. And I really liked it. It was for my album Nightmares to Daydreams, actually. And Eric Heron came up because we had a show here in Michigan, and we were just hanging out. He came up for a few days just to make some music as well. And I showed him the song that I was working on. He's like, yo, I love this. Like, I want this. You know what I mean? And I was like, let's do it. I'm down. And so we reworked some of the stuff, and he wrote his verses, and we ended up releasing it through him and on his album, and it made New Music Friday, which was like crazy to think about. So that was actually the first time I went by Jude. Okay. I was going by a different name. It was my sea light phase. Yeah. It was. We don't even talk about it. It was my sea light phase, and so it was pretty rough. And so that was kind of like another turning point of like. So it started off right.
What was your name?
No. I'll tell you. It was DJ B, and
DJ B.
Yes, very rough name. I was 13 or something when I came up with it. and it was like it was supposed to be like I was a DJ. I am a DJ, so it was like DJ like JB. It was like supposed to be like the thing. So like the J was supposed to be. It was dumb. We don't need to get into it. My friends still call me DJB. Like that's still like their contact in their phones, and it hurts to this day. But we changed it. We're a changed man now, and so we're looking up. Things are looking up.
Yeah. And let's talk about your relationships, your music relationships, because you've mentioned Stephen Malcolm, you've mentioned Aaron Paul. Let's first talk about Stephen Malcolm, because you said he's like a big brother to you. How did that relationship form?
That was interesting. I have some interesting stories now that I'm doing this interview, and I realize like, yo, like I've had some weird things happen. So it all started when Stephen Malcolm, like 5 years ago, commented on our youth page, like, yo, I want to come do an event for y'all. This is before Stephen Malcolm, I think, was even signed to IBA or anything. And so I didn't see it. 2 years go by. I believe I'm 14, and one of my friends was dating one of the girls from my youth group. So he's going through all of our pictures, looking at her like, oh, what a cutie, right? And then sees the comment. I'm like, yo, Stephen Malcolm, like 2 years ago, like commented on one of our pages. Like, how did we not see this? I was like, what? So I then DM'd Stephen with no response because he was massive. Like he had like already like started going off. Like, dang. So then out of like hope, I was like, because we wanted him to come to or we come to a conference event that my dad was putting on. And so I DM Mark, the bad guy, who, funny enough, I later on ended up introducing Mark to his wife. And we are like good friends now, but I ended up, and then Mark's like, all right, cool. I'll tell Steven you want to come do this event. Steven ends up coming to this event and we become friends. And this is before I even ever started doing music. And we were friends. And then from there on, we started working on, then we were just friends in the fact of like, not even about music, just like we were cool. And he was just an awesome guy. And then it kind of blossomed into a music relationship because I did know him and he helped me through some phases of pretty, corny phases. But definitely I put in the work and I think he saw that and respected it. So that's kind of what led to us doing our first song together. I believe now we're dropping our 6th or 7th song together. Something I can't remember, something like that on next Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So when you originally met him, were you dabbling in music at all, or
not at all?
Wow.
No, I was not even interested. It was a weird thing to think about, like me doing music. So yeah, it was not even the slightest. Like people like kind of like laugh, like looking, or like people laughed at me, like I want to do music. You know what I mean? Because I was never even a little bit involved in that world at all. So, yeah.
Now, how important do you think relationships are in this industry? Like the friendships that you have with Stephen?
I think relationships in this industry, relationships make the industry to me. Like, but you have to be very cautious. I definitely ran into people and been close to people that kind of like were only using me to get to the next level, or and then also there's a lot of mentally unstable people in the music industry, which is very like mentally unhealthy, just because they are artists and they grieve in different ways, and so relationships can be very interesting in the music industry. And so keep a small circle that will support you no matter what, and even through your mistakes, and they will call you out for your mistakes and make sure that you get back right. And so which has happened a few times with me, and I appreciate it. So yeah, I think relationships are important. And I think the way I approach relationships, like early on too, is what kind of made me it aided me a lot in becoming kind of where I am right now, where I approached it like, you know what, I'm hitting these people up, and they owe me absolutely nothing. They don't owe me their time. They don't owe me their their friendship. They don't owe me their love. They don't owe me their respect. Like, they owe me absolutely nothing. I am, a 15-year-old in his bedroom. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, and so when people try to approach you for relationships, do you find
Yeah.
yourself now trying to decipher how genuine they are and what their purpose is? Or do you just let it happen and just, it's in God's hands if they try to screw me over or whatever?
I think one, it's all about how someone approaches you. I think if they DM you the first time and it just says, "Yo, let's collab," that's pretty like straightforward. Of it being a shallow relationship. But I think that if people are genuine, and which for me, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Yo, let's collab." It's just not a relationship. It's a business transaction almost. You know what I mean? And so, but I think it's about approaching it with the right mindset. If people approach me with the right mindset, it's different. But I think you have to approach people with an opportunity as well of like, okay, I'm approaching this person with I know to be a very good song that is in their pocket, in their genre, that their fans will like, you know what I mean? Or I'm approaching them with an opportunity, like I'm going to like something, like you can't just expect people to give you something for nothing, you know what I mean? So coming with that mindset. Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about you being the owner of the Bigger Dreams Club.
Hey.
Oh, there you go. That was awesome.
Hey.
Nice reveal. Nice reveal. For those who are just strictly listening, he did a little chair spin. He's in a little swirly chair. He did a little swirl, and then, and then the Bigger Dreams logo just popped up. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So how did you even get into clothing and merch and all of that?
That was really interesting. So I released a song, Bigger Dreams. It did very well. One of my favorite songs I ever released, which, by the way, remix is dropping July 17th. So quick plug. And so it was interesting. So I made one of my first like rounds of merchandise, which was just a white tee that said Bigger Dreams Club, which I thought was funny. It was kind of like a rip off of Anti-Social Social Club.
Okay.
And like just as a joke or whatever. And it literally, I had hoodies and shirts, and they both sold out in a week. And I had probably over 50 to 60 of each. And which is like, yeah, so like it just did really well because like of the design, like not because people were, a huge fan of mine, but because they actually liked how I designed them. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. And then so recently, here, let me turn it down a little bit here. Recently, I released this, which is like the second round of merch here.
The smiley face.
The smiley face from my my album Haven't Slept. And so these are tie-dye, and then we have bleach dye shirts as well for the collection 2 of Bigger Dreams Club. So I actually turned it into an actual brand because it did so well.
Now, when you released the first t-shirt design, how did you market that?
I did it. I brought it to an event. It did very well, and then people wore that, and then I think the word just spread from there. I also obviously marketed it on social media, and that was kind of like the main 2 ways is just like people wearing it, people posting about it, people telling other people showing other people. And also another thing is I'm very picky with like clothes that I wear. And then so the shirts that my shirts, all of my shirts except I believe this one are Champion. This is actually like, this is a launch thing. This is like Bella Canvas, but it's still soft and nice. So I like thicker shirts. And so I didn't ever want to release anything that like people would only buy because it had my name on it. I wanted like, okay, like, yo, if you're working through Urban Outfitters, if you're working through H&M, wherever you shop, I don't even know. If you're walking through and you see that shirt, like, yo, I need that shirt because it's fire. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want that shirt because like whose it is. I want that shirt because it's freaking heat. And so that's kind of the aspect I like approached it. It's like I want it to be very high quality. And I want it to be something that everyone would like wear it like a lot as well. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So what are your goals with the Bigger Dreams Club?
There are no like serious like this is where I want it to end. I definitely want to start releasing more. In fact, I am releasing kind of like a second round of collection 2, some hoodies and hats in about 2 weeks. So I'm excited about that. But I think just like staying consistent with it and more releasing it, and I feel like the more I build the brands, the more people enjoy it. It's been cool because to see there's been a lot of different people that have worn it and posted about it. Ruslan is one. Alex Dion Wilson, I believe I'm saying his name right. He's a huge Christian TikToker, influencer. And then Nick D is another one. And so all those 3 people have definitely supported it and posted about it. And it's been interesting to see all the different people that have actually, for me, it kind of became something only because people did support it so much. It wasn't just something that I like envisioned. It was kind of just something that I did and people loved it. And then so I'm just gonna keep going until people don't love it anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And you mentioned the shirt you have on is from your latest release, Haven't Slept, with Black Beats. So let's talk about that, you pairing up with another music producer.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? That's kind of rare to see 2 music producers on one album.
2 music producers, yes, a collab. It's definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
So that happened because me and him are very close. We're very good friends. His real name is Tony.
Okay.
So that's how I know him.
You don't call him Black Beats?
I don't hit him up. He's not Black Beats in my phone. I don't call him. I don't hit him up like, what's up, Black Beats? It's Tony. And so, but he's been a cool friend to me for a while. He mixed and mastered my Nightmares to Daydreams album.
Okay.
And he did executive production on it. So and then like basically making sure it was top notch level. And he's very, very good. I love his ear. I trust his instincts when it comes to music. And so we were just working on like a bunch of different stuff. And like, yo, like, excuse me, like, why don't we release all this together, and why don't we build like the Black Beats brand as well at the same time? And so he was like, I'm down. And so we released this album called Haven't Slept, and it's doing super, super good. And so it's definitely been an interesting time to release it with everything in the world going on. Being that it released, I believe, 2 or 3 days before George Floyd.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
It was definitely interesting after releasing it and me being who I am and being like, dang, I can't market this album that I worked on for 8 months out of respect. And so it was a very interesting time. And then to go back, I was like, all right, do I now put money to market an album that's, a month and a half old, or do I focus on the future? So definitely a lot of interesting things going on.
What did you decide?
I decided that I believe I'm gonna focus on the future.
Okay.
So not that I dislike the album.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I think it's time, because I'm very excited what's coming next. So a lot of interesting moves are coming up. So yeah.
Yeah, it was this whole time period right now with George Floyd, with the Black Lives Matter being popular now, and just the protests going on. For content producers, it really is like, okay, what do we do?
Like, walking on eggshells, especially as a white guy from Midland, Michigan, living in the cornfields. So not that I am not around Black culture a lot, because I'm in Black culture in the sense of I'm a hip hop producer.
Yes.
But it's just interesting to it's just like an interesting space to be in for sure. Never want to be disrespectful. Never want no one to know who I am. I feel like I keep mentioning that over and over in this interview, but I want to know who I am and what I am, and so it's it's definitely a very, very careful time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how does God's presence look like in your life musically?
My life musically, like I said earlier, I think it's the same answer of favor.
Okay.
I've met people that are very high up in the music industry at a young age, and I've learned a lot from different people. So I think favor has played a huge part in that. And I think God definitely has some kind of plan for me to be in the music industry at some level. I don't know if that's as an artist, producer. I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think God's presence is kind of key when it comes to how am I going to make it. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to the section called the 4-song breakdown.
Okay.
So usually the artist raps or recites a verse and discusses what's going on in between the lines of the song story.
Yes.
Being that you're a producer, we're going to
Yes.
go do it a little bit differently.
Okay.
But we'll just mainly focus on the song story, production, and some of them, you know, if you co-produce it with anyone, you're writing, because you do it all, even though we don't really hear you vocally.
Right.
So the 4 songs that I selected for you are Brighter, Priceless, Stone Cold, and Getting Up.
Good songs.
So we'll start with Brighter. What's the song story with that?
So Brighter, I was like I've said before, I was 15. I was messing around on GarageBand. No, I think it might have been. I think I just gotten Logic.
Okay.
And
so prior to that, you were just using GarageBand?
Yes. And
Okay.
so I just gotten Logic, and it's funny, the beat kind of sounds a lot different than it does now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just messing around, and it was a very, very simple beat. All of the melodies are the same. Like, they're literally like the bass melody, the synth melody, the horn melody. It's literally all the, like, I don't know if you realize, like, the production is extremely simple, but the melody was just super, super catchy. So, so then we just added, like, I think there's only like 3 different drum sounds. And so you can definitely hear, like, and to compare it to like Stone Cold, like the complexity of Stone Cold and Getting Up compared to like Brighter is so much different because I'm so much more experienced now. But so it was like, so Brighter, very simple, very easy, and very catchy. Yeah.
And did you do any of the songwriting on it as well?
Yeah, so I co-wrote the actual hook, so like only one, like I co-wrote that, and then the verse, the second verse. I did not co-write J Monty, Aaron Cole, or Stephen Malcolm's verses because they were and are way better writers than I am. So why would I ever want to interfere in what they're doing? Because I trust them completely. Um, so yeah, I didn't even want to interfere almost, you know what I mean?
And you talked about how you have the relationship with Stephen Malcolm. And then you said you text Aaron Cole. But Jay Monty, how did you get Jay Monty on the track?
Jay Monty's interesting. So I'd listened to Jay Monty for a while. But I literally just DM'd him on Instagram like before. It's just also like, 2 years before like the Testify series that he did. And before he really started releasing, this is still when he's like under contract of Sony, and he's like sold his soul to Sony like at the time. So like, this is still, and the other crazy thing I think about too is like he doesn't do features for like anybody, like, you know what I mean? And so it's definitely interesting, and it was, his support was like a lot, and so he's definitely a cool guy to know.
Okay, so he really does features, and you just DM'd him, and he was like, "I'm down."
He was like, I'm down, let's do it.
Well, there's
There
God's
was
favor right there.
right, yes, and so the funny thing is I sent him. So he was the first person I hit up. I made the beat. I was like, which is so funny looking back, but it's not his style at all. Like, it's like not like, he's very grungy. Like his production, is very raw almost. And so this is like a pop beat that basically, and I sent it off to him. He's like, all right, let's do it. And I think it was like, I think it took him 4 or 5 months or something like that. And I'd almost forgotten about it. And like, I literally was walking through a van store. I remember I got the email. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. And I click it. And I'm listening in a van store. And I'm like walking around a van store, just like, this is incredible. People are staring at me. And I was like, whoa, like this is a decent song. And then so I remember I sent it to my collaborator for the actual person that sings on the hook. And I was like, look, like, check this out or whatever. Oh no, so I don't know if you have heard of the producer Juice Bangers. I texted the Juice Bangers and was like, yo, I want to get someone on the hook, and he connected me with the guy, and that guy got me the hook back, and literally like under 24 hours. So I went from having nothing to in 24 hours having this like hit song, that we wrote together. So it was like, what the heck? And then 2 days later is when I went out to lunch with my friends, and then I was like, I'm gonna hit up. I was like, this song's so good, like I really believe in it, so I'm gonna hit them up and see if they're down. And they were like, let's do it.
Okay, so then you had Monty first, and then you
Yes,
hit up.
Monty was the
Oh my
first.
gosh,
Yes.
that's even crazier because
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking the other two were on it. He doesn't know you, so he's like, okay,
Right.
Maybe that gave him, some, you got Steven, you got Aaron. Okay, I'll consider getting on this. No, so he just heard the song and was like,
he didn't even hear the song. He heard the instrumental.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was looking back on it now, it was definitely God's favor. Like, very interesting.
For sure. So let's talk about the song story with Priceless.
So Priceless is very, very interesting. So it's like my song Don't Deserve, where I had very, very, very little to do with it. I just fell in love with it. And so Juice Bangers actually produced it, and a friend of mine wrote it, and I just like connected with it so much and loved it. And they really didn't have any plans for it, and I was like, I want it. Like, let me like check it out. Which is like so funny. Like, this happens a lot to me, where it's like a lot of people hear songs that I've created and like, yo, let me use it for my album. And I kind of was like, I just love the song so much. So I was like, please let me use this. And so I kind of like purchased the song from them. I was like, this is incredible. Like, I love it so much. And so they were cool enough to let me do that. And it just fit the story of my album, and it just fit the vibe. And so I got my homie Keyshawn Furlow to put a verse on it to kind of match the vibe of what it was going to. And it sounded, the final product is Priceless is probably my favorite song I've ever released under myself, which is funny because I didn't have much to do with it, but it was just such an incredible song, and I loved it so much that I was like, dang, this is like everything I want to be when I grow up. So I loved it.
Still, I mean, you have some relationships with some incredibly like fire artists, like you just said.
Oh yeah,
Keyshawn Furlow, like.
Oh yeah, Keyshawn Furlow is one of like probably one of my like, I don't want to say closest, but one of like my like coolest guys. Like, I definitely try to be there for him and like some tough times he's gone through. And he's just a super incredibly talented person and very amazing like human being. And so he's actually just in Flint a couple months ago, and so I went down there and we kicked it and made some songs. And he's just like another level of talent. So yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed him, had the pleasure a long time ago.
Mm,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Stone Cold.
Okay, yeah.
Song
So
story with Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. Let me get all my facts straight here.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold. So me and my homie Black Beats Tony, we made this beat that we really really liked and vibed with. We kept going back and forth on like songs we wanted to send to certain people because we kind of had the whole idea of haven't slept before we even like sent it out to work with our other people. We're like, you know what, we want to get these certain people on these songs and have these vibes. Like we literally had like a sheet of like I believe 10 different songs, and like one of them was like, all right, we want to get one featuring, you know, Caleb Cruz and Stephen Malcolm and Aaron Dews and with this vibe. And then we're like, all right, we also want to get one, you know, featuring, you know, this person with this vibe. And that's kind of how we went about it. And so we made a couple different beats of how we wanted the song to sound like with Caleb and Stephen and Aaron. And it just, and that beat was the winner. And so we sent it to Caleb first. I love working with Caleb so much. He's so talented. And so he knocked out the hook. And then me and Steven had a session planned because he's from Grand Rapids. He's 2 hours south of me.
Okay.
And so
where exactly are you in Michigan?
I'm in a little place in the middle of nowhere called Midland, Michigan.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you know of the Michigan hand map.
No.
But this is what Michiganders do. We'll show
Okay.
them be like, I live right here.
Okay.
This is where I live, and then this is where he lives.
Got it.
And so, but yeah, I just taught you something there.
You did. Midland hand.
This is the Michigan hand map. Yeah.
Michigan
so
hand map.
I say this is I live in the third knuckle here around there.
Okay.
But yeah, so he lives about 2 hours south of me. And so drove down and we made Stone Cold and then the song that we're dropping in 2 weeks. So, or no, not in 2 weeks. It's next Friday now.
Oh, cool.
And so Stone Cold, and then we believe we sent it over to Aaron Dews, who I didn't even know very well at the time. Now he's like a cool like homie of mine. He was a friend of Tony's.
Okay.
And so he sent it over. He killed his verse, and we were super excited about it. And we released it, and it did very well. Steven pushed it like and did a dance video to it, which was
right,
like
yeah.
awesome. And so that went really well. Yeah.
And you said that you did 2 songs with Steven, one you're about to release. So this one that you're about to release is a part of the new music that you're focusing on for the future?
Funny, no, it's not.
No?
Like, no. So this new music that I'm focusing on for the future has, let's just say like in the next 2 months or so, there's going to be a very, very big announcement that no one's expecting at all.
Okay.
And so it's definitely is an interesting pocket to be in. So actually, the next few songs I'm releasing is kind of just like I want them released. So I'm almost like quote unquote getting them out of the way for what's coming. And so yeah, so definitely so like this is the Bigger Dream remix. It's kind of be like my summer anthem kind of feel. But yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Getting Up.
Mm-hmm.
Song story with that.
And that's crazy one still. Like I grew up on Dream Junkies, and I grew up like I was that kid at the front of Lecrae and Andy Mineo concert. Like I was that little white kid with a Toby Mac hat on. It was like the flat bill. and the giant like neon like shirt for no reason. That looked. And so to get to work with John Givez was just kind of like shell shocking, just to somebody I listened to growing up. And then Grandace, excuse me, Grandace, super talented guy from Nashville. He was a one of my homie. He was Black Beat's friend, and so he killed the first verse, and then Jaylon has been someone. Jaylon Ashaun, if you haven't heard of him, he's amazing, and he's out of Atlanta, I believe. But I've known him for a few years, not close or anything, but we've just been kind of like good like acquaintances. And then I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, it's time. We need to get one." Like, I can't like, and so he's like, "Bet, let's do it." And so I've been a huge fan of Jaylon for a while. He has a song called Sandcastles that I really liked.
Okay.
He has another one called Strawberry and Wine, and then he was actually on the Reach Christmas project.
Oh, okay.
He had a really good verse on that. So yeah, I've been a fan of his for a while, and it's definitely funny to like when you go through your music. For me, I go through my music on Spotify, and it's like, whoa, like all these people saved, like all this like music saved, or like I like know them like personally, and it's weird. It's like, whoa, like because normally like that doesn't happen for a lot of people, so it's like it's just like very weird. It's like, yo, like I could text them right now, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's definitely a weird thing to get used to still. So
it's also kind of speaks to the importance of speaking things into existence and writing things down, and so God can make it happen, because like you said, you wanted to have Stephen Malcolm and Aaron Cole on a song, and it happened. I know for me personally, when I first started this podcast back in 2013, I had a dream list of artists that I wanted to interview, and I wrote all of those names down on a whiteboard. I'm a whiteboard person like you. So I wrote all those names down on a whiteboard. And then like 2 years later, I'm looking at the board and I'm like, I've literally have interviewed everyone on here with the exception of like Lecrae and Andy Mineo. But other than that, like every single person I had on my dream list, I got to interview.
That's incredible.
So speak it into existence, write it down, make it happen.
That's right.
So that was everything off of, well, the last 2 songs were off of Haven't Slept with Black Beats. So if no one has heard that yet, check it out, and we can
please. I'm trying to buy my mama mansion.
And we have a lot of new music to look forward to from you coming up.
A lot of new music, yes.
So that pretty much wraps up everything that I had to ask you. I would like to know, who would you like to see me interview next?
Who would I like to see you interview next?
Yes.
Man. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of some friends that I have. And Juice Bangers would be really entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
Juice Bangers, okay. I'm familiar with his music, but I don't know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a super funny guy.
Okay.
So that'd be interesting. Obviously there's Steven.
So I did have the pleasure of interviewing Steven before he like really popped up. I did like
that's awesome.
I did like an Up and Comers and featured him. I definitely want to interview him again. So
yeah.
Like
that's fire. Yeah, I would. My vote's definitely still Juice Bangers though, because me and Steven say it a lot. It's like we wish Juice had his own reality TV show. Like he's a character. So that's my vote for sure.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe to our show, and if you really enjoy the content, please leave a review. It really does help with the ranking. For all things testimony, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Gilika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.